brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? 'Cause that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Suds, Suds, Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Hey, welcome to this quick shot episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2:06 a.m.
Yep, that's because they moved Yellowstone to another time slot.
Oh, right.
Well, nothing's better than Yellowstone.
Well, Beth.
We can't beat Angry Beth. No.
No.
And reruns of, like, My Favorite Martian and Love American Style. There you go.
Oh.
Karen Valentine.
There's certain shows they wouldn't even allow on TV these days. I think that's one of them.
Soap.
Oh.
They would never let that back on TV.
I love soap.
With Chuck and Bob? Yeah. That's never coming back.
True.
Well, in addition to our critique of TV of the 70s, so our SIP segments are all about, this is Made Man Bob, and joining me today are Made Man Brent.
Pleasure to be here. Really a pleasure to be here today.
And good old boy Justin.
Wow, so good to be here.
So our SIP segments are all about, instead of just 70s TV shows, about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and anything else you can sip. And the whiskeys we're going to be doing on this quick shot episode today are Walnut Hill Kentucky Straight Bourbon, Three Feathers Kentucky Straight Bourbon, Golden Wedding Rye Whiskey, George T. Stag Distillery's Spiritus Frumenti, and Old Stag Uncut Unfiltered Whiskey. So we're going to have Justin tell us about our SIPS ratings.
Good evening, I am Hans. Franz, unfortunately, is in deportation and will not be able to be here today.
Did they catch him coming through with the steroid pills?
Yeah.
The ones with the horses on them?
Yeah. That was the dead giveaway.
Not good.
No. One sip. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth, girly man.
Gangazine, water. Gangazine, bring water. Bring water.
2 sips. Nice, but what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
Get to the chopper. Yeah.
3 sips. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
He's turning into Dieter now. You notice that? You went from Hans and Franz to Dieter from Sprockets.
And now we dance.
And that was the time on Sprockets when we danced. Would you like to touch my monkey?
4 sips. Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
That's classified.
5 sips.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's Dieter at this point.
Yeah, it's Dieter now. Now you got it in my head. That's what we're doing.
I'm fascinated by texture.
Oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Straight in the toilet. 4 minutes, 17 seconds. That's a new record. All right. Well, we're going to see if Brent can pull us out of this cesspool and tell us about these whiskeys, of which I have named, but most people are not really going to know most of these names, and there's a reason. So explain to them what we have.
Okay, thanks, Bob. So the Buffalo Trace Prohibition Collection is an annual, limited edition, multi-bottle collection honoring the whiskeys that were legally produced and sold at the distillery during arguably the most contentious time and period in alcohol history. Known then as the George T. Stag Distillery, the debut release is a tribute to the 5 Prohibition era brands that have until now disappeared. Walnut Hill, Three Feathers, Golden Wedding, George T. Stag, Spiritus Frumenti, and Old Stag. From 1920 to 1933, the production, sale, and transportation of alcohol was banned in the United States due to the ratification of the 18th Amendment to the United States Constitution, an era known as Prohibition.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Sure it is.
Yeah. Hadn't failed me yet.
The purchasing alcohol was only legal with a medical prescription. At the time, many doctors believed spirits to be a cure for a wide variety of ailments. My doctor still believes that.
I was going to say Maury believes it. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
As such, the U.S. government granted licenses to 6 distilleries to bottle medicinal whiskey. One of those distilleries was the George T. Stagg Distillery in Frankfort, Kentucky, known today as Buffalo Trace Distillery. It is the longest continually operating distillery in America. Their Prohibition Collection is housed in a custom wooden display case with each of the 5 375-milliliter bottles heavily inspired by their Prohibition-era packaging and original bottle size. Even the back cartons feature the cutout for doctors to apply the prescription for medicinal whiskey, without which one could not legally purchase alcohol.
I got a couple of those laying around here.
Yeah, you have some
Yeah, you
pads.
do. Some good memorabilia.
Yep. So this first one is the Walnut Hill whiskey. It's 45% ABV, 90 proof, non-age stated. The Walnut Hill is a high rye bourbon, which was bottled by the George T. Stagg Distillery during Prohibition, with production overseen by President Albert Blanton. So this is a very light color. This is more like a straw color to it. The on the nose, the first thing that comes out is oranges. I get some oranges, and then it's kind of a corny. I get oranges and then a corn to it. On the palate, I get plums, I get vanilla, and then I get white pepper. It's not, the palate is not, I mean, there's not, when I go back to it, I still get the same things. It's not like some of these where you can get, where it evolves over and over. And then a little, on the finish, I get just a little bit of smoke, but it's that vanilla, that plums, and that white pepper that come through. It's pleasantly enjoyable. I mean, it is the 45% ABV. It's a nice little sipper. Justin?
I enjoyed this. I think that it almost tastes like a good scotch. It's like in between
curses to you, yeah.
and a good scotch, because you just got a lot of those scotch highlights. The citrus is definitely there.
Citrus there, yeah, because of
the smoky finish is there. So a lot of the hallmarks are there, but it's interesting. I liked it. What'd you think, Bob?
Definitely there's citrus on there. I get orange and a little bit of lemon. The oak is there. The nose is kind of creamy to me, and on the palate, hold on.
It is a creamy palate too. I mean, it's a nice creamy mouthfeel on your palate.
Yeah, it's it's creamy. It's got a nice mouth coat to it. Dark toffee, molasses, a little bit of vanilla. Pleasant. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
It's not a complex whiskey at all.
No, but what it does well.
Yes.
It's definitely, I mean, they're blending these to, I guess emulate the style of these older brands. And, if I was around back during Prohibition, yeah, I'd put a hurting on a bottle of that. So, yeah, definitely interesting. So we're going to be rating the Walnut Hill whiskey a well-deserved 3 sips.
Interesting.
So that takes us to our next one in the Prohibition collection, and we're going to have Justin tell us about that one.
So we're going to talk about the Three Feathers Bottled and Bond Blended Whiskey. It's 50% alcohol by volume or 100 proof, and it's not age stated. 100 proof bottled and bond whiskey created by Buffalo Trace master blender Drew Mayville. Dating back to at least 1812, Three Feathers was first advertised as a luxurious rye before becoming a bonded then a blended whiskey.
Blended whiskey.
Blended.
So on the nose, I got vanilla, charred oak. This is an intense, pleasant nose, and it has that funk to it that a lot of older bourbons have. Like if you get a bourbon from pre-prohibition, you expect this certain funk note. It's there.
Yeah.
Which is really cool that they can make that.
The fact
now.
that he blended it in and was able to emulate that old school funk.
Yeah. What's
really
cool
cool.
is they didn't put a lot of rules on themselves, so they could have just gotten there pretty much any way they wanted to. Except that being bottled and bond, and all the whiskey had to come from the same season and be at least, I think, 2 years old. No, 4 years old.
4 years.
4 years for bottled and
2
bond.
for straight, 4 for bottled. Yep.
And the finish I got was like nice, pleasant, and long. And I sound like a broken record. This reminded me of a good scotch too. But
Well, here's the thing. It may be bottled and bond, but you can definitely be older than 4. I mean, who knows? Maybe they took one bottle of, something from the 50s and dumped it in to get the funk.
The funk, yeah.
Where, I mean, how you blend it in,
funk insertion. I like
that's, I mean, we've all had enough older, heritage whiskeys in our time. We've been fortunate to have drunk quite a few of them, and most of them have that the older whiskeys, the 50s, the 40s, and earlier, they have that funk, and this one does. So the fact that they were able to blend that in is really cool, but honestly, it also kind of scares me because, like, if you can blend this and make this, you think counterfeiting older whiskeys was bad before, but if somebody can do this, that's going to be, you got to be careful now.
I mean, fortunately for us, the older whiskeys we run into, like in Louisville, aren't so expensive that it's worth faking them.
Yeah.
They're not cheap, but, you're not paying King of Kentucky, Pappy Van Winkle prices for
Well, there's
Dusties.
always some knucklehead who will, that.
Sure.
So. But it's,
they could fake it now. But they, anything that can be made can be faked.
See, I'm with you. That's the first thing I noticed on this was that slight bit of funk on the nose. And even with the older whiskeys, sometimes you have the funk on the nose, sometimes on the palate, sometimes only one, sometimes both. This one has it on both. There's a light bit of smoke. There's like a dusty cocoa on the finish, and that old school funk. So yeah, interesting. What'd you think, Brett?
Yeah, on the nose, I got the vanilla, and that funk, it kind of reminded me of like a dandelion. When you smell that dandelion, you get that kind of comes through like that a little bit as well. The tropical fruit, that really light smoke. A little bit of that like a dry cocoa finish on it as well. They did do a great job of creating an older whiskey here.
Yeah,
and
an older style,
right,
and gave it that older flavor,
that signature,
like it's something that came out of the older bottle.
Yes,
yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, again, how you do that, I
don't know.
Yeah, that I have no idea. I don't have the experience with
the only
blending.
thing I would
Maybe
say
one day we'll meet Drew Mayville and get to ask him, how'd you get the funk?
I'd like it if the finish was longer, but considering what we've got here, that they're blending this to that profile, honestly, they did a really good job. So, we can always wish for more. I wish we had more of this.
I mean, I imagine this whole collection thing here that comes out in a package of the 5. It's going to be tough to find.
Oh yeah,
so
it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be tough to find.
Yeah.
Well, because it'll be expensive, it won't be as hard to find as you think, but it'll just be a couple of mortgage payments.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to.
It'll be harder to afford than it'll be to find.
You can get a Google search, and it'll come up.
Yeah. There's always going to be somebody out there that's that's looking to part with one for the right amount of money, I'm sure. But it's definitely interesting. So we're going to be rating the 3 Feathers bottled and bond blended whiskey, well deserved. 4 sips.
That's classified.
That was cool. So that takes us on to Our next whiskey of the series, which is the Golden Wedding Rye Whiskey. That is 53.5% ABV, 107 proof. So this brand dates back to 1869, and it was originally produced by Shenley Distilling at the Joseph F. Finch Distillery in Pennsylvania. During Prohibition, its bottling was split between Shenley's Pennsylvania Distillery and the George T. Stagg Distillery. In the late 1940s, the brand was moved to Shenley's Distillery in Canada and would become a Canadian whiskey before ceasing to exist in the late 20th century. What a shame.
I know, a Canadian whiskey.
Yeah, you went from a fine rye to, oh well. Well, we'll be back.
But baby, the whole elation riding down this lover's avenue. As slow as a willow blows, or as fast as the whirlwind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
Hey, and we're back, and we are discussing some of the really interesting whiskeys from the Buffalo Trace Prohibition Collection. So we are just getting on to the Golden Wedding Rye. So let's see what we think about it here. Now, on the nose, this is like walking into a bakery and smelling a fresh loaf of rye bread coming out of the oven.
Yeah.
The rye aroma in this is absolutely undeniable. Yeah, that is like the best loaf of rye bread you've ever had. Sweet, but not too sweet. A little bit of oak. Let's see what it tastes like. So on the palate, there's definitely an herbal and a little bit of a floral note to it for me. Their tasting notes note dill pickle. I do get a little bit of that dill to it, but not that heavy.
That's not overpowering.
Yeah, it's like an MGP dill, not
dill pickle.
Dill pickle, right?
I'm getting that dill note, and I think that's where I'm getting the herbal.
Yeah,
on it is the dill. I'm getting a little bit of floral note. It's sweet, but it's only sweet like in the center of the tongue.
True.
Not on the edges, but like dead center of my tongue. You're getting the rye notes there, but it's not spicy like a lot of ryes. The rye is there. You can absolutely taste it. It's like eating a piece of rye toast, but it doesn't have that peppery spice.
It's like that good German rye bread, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's got a nice finish to it. A little bit of a smoke to it. Their notes are saying a hint of banana. I'm not picking that up.
I don't get it. No.
Maybe that's there. I'm missing that, but really nice. A very nice rye, and very different than what we're used to, So what'd you think, Brent?
Yeah, this one is different in the way that, when you're smelling a rye, rarely do you actually smell the rye.
Yeah.
You always get some other notes with it and stuff. And this one here, it's you rye, and then it actually smells like rye. It's rare do you get like a wheat and it smells like wheat. Mm-hmm. So this is different in that aspect alone. So on the nose, I got, that rye and a little bit of leather. On the palate, I was like flowers and pickles and rye. Oh my. That was kind of how I picked it up, because it had those floral notes, a little bit of pickles, and then that rye, like a rye bread with like a little bit of pickled dressing on it or something, light pickled dressing. It was different, but very enjoyable at the same time.
So you're saying drink this with a pastrami sandwich? And
Exactly.
You're set for life.
Put a pastrami on this, and this is going to be great.
Pretty much, I'd drink pond water with a good pastrami sandwich. I mean, that's not saying a lot.
Justin?
Damn it, now I'm hungry.
So I had a old Overholt from the 40s, and this hit a lot of those notes.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
So I think it's pretty typical flavor profile of a lot of the ryes that came out in the 40s and early 50s in Pennsylvania. So great job bringing that old flavor back.
Yeah, it does lean a little older Pennsylvania, Maryland rye, but it's still it leans that way, but it's not the same.
It's not there.
Yeah,
but it's reminiscent of it.
Yeah, because I mean, we've all been lucky to have some of the older stuff, especially some of the older Michter's stuff. I have the worst luck with the King Tut decanters. I swear, every time I buy one, it comes out and it looks like Yoo-hoo. Yeah, it's brown and opaque and not drinkable. I've bought like 6 of them. One was good. The other 5 were came out in chunks.
We know a guy who's probably got some good stuff to sip.
Yeah, I
probably decanters.
Yeah, I probably know where I can find a few.
Yeah.
But, it leans towards it, but it's still a little different.
Yeah,
and I'm with Brent. The thing that I enjoyed on this one is it smells like rye.
Oh yeah,
it smells like a loaf of rye. It smells like cooked rye bread.
Yeah,
and not a lot of rye these days has that character.
No, you're right. A lot of them, it's like this is like not heavily processed old school rye.
And the funny thing is especially if you're drinking like 95.5, I mean, there's so much damn rye in that. If anything should smell like rye, it should be that. And it rarely does. At least for me, it rarely does. I mean, it smells like rye whiskey, but does it smell like rye, like a handful of rye? No, it doesn't.
Well, like Bullet 95.5, it's like very pickly.
Well, you know why.
Why?
Where do you think it comes from?
Pickles.
Indiana. But yeah, definitely an interesting one, to say the least. So we're going to be rating the Golden Wedding Rye Whiskey. Well-deserved 4 sips.
That's classified.
So that's going to take us to our next whiskey, and we're going to have Brent tell us about that one.
Thanks, Bob. This next one is the George T. Stag Distillery Spiritus Frumenti. 55% ABV, 110 proof. This is 110 proof wheated bourbon honoring the medicinal whiskey produced at the George T. Stag Distillery. Spiritus Frumenti, which translates as spirit of the grain in Latin, existed as a generic name for medicinal whiskey during Prohibition. So, on the nose...
Isn't it all medicinal?
Well, it's still medicinal for me.
Isn't happy hour anytime?
I'm with Johnny. Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's all medicinal.
Right. So,
you know those voices in your head that tell you to do the bad things, and they're screaming at you all the time. You know, when you drink this, they get real quiet.
Yes.
They say, maybe later. Yeah.
So on the nose, I got some the brown sugar and like wrapped up in like a cinnamon roll before it gets cooked. You know how you get the different smells after it's cooked? This is like before it's cooked.
Got a little bit more of the doughy to it.
You eating some raw cinnamon buns, what you're telling us?
No, but I've smelled
I'm not trying to be mean, but damn it, look at him. Trust me, yeah.
No,
he's the guy who stands in front of the microwave and goes, hurry!
7.5 minutes cooking time's too long, right?
Right, that's a fact. So on the palate, I get a lot of I get cherries and oak tannins right off the bat. Then pepper, a little bit of tangerine on there, and then it finishes off with a nice vanilla and citrus. That just for the finish. And I was surprised. I liked the finish on this one. It was longer than I expected. Especially because I just. With the last few, they were not quite as long as I wanted, and this one is a little bit more pleasing that way. So
that's what she said.
Yeah. Justin?
So I get a little bit of a medicinal taste on this, probably power of suggestion. But it's like the good iodine, not the bad iodine. And it's intense. The finish is really strong citrus. So it's really interesting. I haven't had the original Spirit, so I can't really compare the two, but they definitely made something pretty cool. I liked it.
Well, for me, this one on the nose, this one is definitely like caramelized sugar. Just a hint of molasses. It's very sweet on the nose. And on the palate, hold on. Black cherries. Some nice clean oak. It's got a little bit of a spice to it. On the back end, I get a little bit of white pepper on the finish. And it's got a nice finish. It goes on. This one definitely hangs out for a little while. So, of course, then again, it does have the namesake of my favorite whiskey on earth, and the only whiskey on earth that is worth drinking forever.
Frumenti?
Yeah, that one.
Don't make fun of my shrine to George Stagg, okay? Just because every time you come in the house, I make you pay, get down on your knees and pray to it and leave it some offerings. Come on. This one's got some bottom to it. This thing is got some meat. This one I really like. This one is if you can find any of these, definitely pick up the set, because it's a really cool set. But if somebody breaks it up and you've just come across this, buy it. So we're going to be rating the George T. Stag Distillery Spiritus Frumenti, a well-deserved 4 sips.
That's classified.
And that takes us on to our last whiskey of the day, so we're going to have Justin tell us about that.
So we're going to talk about Old Stag Uncut Unfiltered whiskey. 66.2% alcohol by volume, or 132.4 proof.
I like it already.
Yeah, and it probably will fly your F-35, but if you do that, we can't be friends.
I have a feeling if you put it in your F-35, they could probably trace the vapor trail coming out of the back of it. But
Old Stag was originally created in honor of former owner George T. Stagg and replaced OFC Bourbon as the distillery's flagship brand. Today, the brand lives on as Stagg and George T. Stagg, both barrel-proof whiskeys that have their roots in this Prohibition-era brand. On the nose, I got oaky, some vanilla. The palate I got was very sweet. I got some tobacco, leather, maraschino cherries, and a smooth vanilla finish. This does not drink its proof. If you were lucky enough to have a lot of this, you could get really messed up on it. One day I hope to. But
sounds like he's talking about fentanyl.
Yeah, well, uncut, unfiltered, But no, this is legal spirits, not America's most depressing statistic.
What'd you think, Brent?
So this one here, you get that oak and vanilla right on the palate, on the nose, and then on your palate, it's kind of it kind of bypasses the front of your palate, goes right to the middle and the back, and it really just kind of just gives you that nice stag punch that you're used to having and things. You get your oak and leather and cherry, you got the baking spice, and then it gets you hints of caramel, and that turns into this just nice creamy vanilla finish. All while you have that pepper bomb and leather in the back of your palate. It's delicious.
I am very aroused.
You should be.
Reminds me of an amazing Stag Junior. If you have 20 different ones, the top two, be one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's, I mean, just the nose alone.
I mean, I can see how they could more easily replicate this one than some of the others.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they make whiskey like this today. You know,
Right.
the other ones, that's the thing that's mind-bending about the other ones is they were able to blend to that profile. So that's really cool. But this one's special. I mean, it's got the crisp oak on the nose. It's just creamy vanilla and like a custard pastry on the nose. And on the palate, leather and black cherry, and it's got a woodiness to it. It's kind of dry on the palate, which I'm kind of digging.
Yeah.
It's just, again, this is more classic Stag. This is that brick to the teeth that I do so love, and boy, I wish I could get a bottle of this somewhere. This one's fantastic. So, again, a very cool experiment. We're going to rate the Old Stag Uncut Unfiltered whiskey a well-deserved 5-6.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah!
And why? Because
these go to 11.
Yeah, we can't do 6. So, what'd you guys think? Cool experiment?
Oh, so cool.
Thanks for making me suffer through that.
Yeah, it's just I'm still stunned how some of these they blended to taste like a funky, dusty whiskey. You know, that's mind bending. So I'm impressed with that. If you see this box and if you have the means, do absolutely pick one of these up. So
yeah,
I want to thank our hosts for joining us today. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you. The suffering was worth it.
And thank you, Justin.
Thank you so much. What a great time.
And if we can just find that Powerball number, we can all get one of these. It would be awesome. Damn it.
Gotta enter.
Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
I think I will.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank everybody and remind you, life is too short to drink bad whiskey.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're listening to us online, do yourself a favor and tap the subscribe button.
Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo.
The easiest way to listen to our show is to ask Siri, Alexa, Google, Uncle Larry, or whoever it is that talks to you on your phone. Play podcast Sip, Suds, and Smokes. We love your feedback, and you can reach us at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our tasting notes flow out on Twitter and Instagram with our handle @SipSudsAndSmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with the thousands,
millions, and millions
of other fans on those social media platforms. Do us a favor. Take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. Come back, join us for another episode, and keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.